Hi you. How are you? So yesterday I had this pretty powerful just thought, I guess, and then moving with that thought around it's just words, stuff that we talk about as humans, including the title share, which is dimensions. And I suppose it's like having space and awareness just to be, and then thought and like the deductionary process, and you know how we talk about manifestation. Hi, hello. We talk about manifestation in such a way, and I'm very aware of, or sorry, so like thought creates things, and it's like that's an aspect of our creation field or our creative capacity. And I guess sometimes I just get these insights around words that we use and like what context they represent, or how is it that they truly benefit the human experience on Earth. And this is where it starts to get all spun out, especially with the YouTube and social media and this sense of infinite information just constantly being exposed and available, including, and I was there at one point, maybe I still am, I don't know, but this talk of dimensions. And a friend of mine, we joked, I for some reason years ago was subscribed, or was I don't know, maybe around 2013 to 2015, I was watching a lot of like the Marian councils and Arcturian councils and these different channels and channelings, and there was a brief period where I was listening to a fair bit of Bentinho Massaro. And yeah, it's fun to noodle with thought, essentially. It's fun to, yeah, I just want to say noodle with thought. And there is scientific backbone, but increasingly I'm just aware of this fusion of our experience, this elevation of our experience. And I often, in my personal reality, it's lovely to talk about stuff, but then I'm always reminded of like the earthly experience, right? Going back, that's what my friend and I were joking about, was like people that talk about I was in the 12th dimension and having these conversations and doing this work. And I suppose maybe it brings hope to people. But my issue sometimes is like it's a human on Earth, and anything that takes us out of the here now experience, I have to question. I have to question the intent, or so the word baffle-gaffing people, you know, confusing people. And I maybe that's right to the root that I've wanted to get to in my own self, is feeling used and feeling baffle-gaffed by people saying one thing and then doing another, or saying the things we say to get what we want, and then where's the mask, where's the illusion, where's the, and there it brings me back to the feeling of, so here's like a piece, and I'm obviously a huge advocate of feeling your feelings and working with them. At the same time, we have to remind ourselves that our feelings aren't ultimately real either. Our thoughts aren't ultimately real. You know, we are, this earthly experience, I would say, in and of itself, as a human being, is multidimensional. we are every dimension. We are the multidimensionality that we seek. I get this download sometimes because I travel a lot. And from one moment to the next, you could say, I'm in a different dimension. You know, there's everywhere you go, everywhere you show up, there's like a different energy vortex in a co-creative exchange that you pop into, right? Now, I know that in our 3D, right, like we're anchored into, oh, yay, Jamie. That excites me very, very much. um, yeah. So baffle gaff, that's a word that keeps like coming in right now, and it's never, I guess anything that I find too wordy or too complicated, I think that can't be it. As okay, and again, from my point of attraction, it's simply about this so-called, okay, because then you know you got the flat earthers and people who would tell me I'm wrong, but so we have this being, this sphere we call Earth, and for the most part we're aware that there's a humanity here. That's us. There's one species as a humanity. Apparently we would deem ourselves more evolved than some of the other creatures. I beg to differ sometimes or question that presumption around even the idea of evolution as a construct on this earthly experience. So there's Earth, and there's a bunch of people on Earth, and simply put, the issues are reflected back. Someone like me growing up as a child, all of the disparity, poverty, war cycle gets reflected back to my consciousness. And then the heart feels like that's not in alignment. You know, that's not in alignment with your purpose, your soul. And then, 37 years on, I'm still remembering that child who's endeavoring these paradigm shift energies on planet Earth, knowing that we can't continue this way, and so let's be this way. And then holy shit balls. I mean, where have I been and where have I gone to? As a child, for a significant amount of time, I wanted to be a doctor because doctors save lives. And then once I wasn't naturally inclined to the sciences, as in I would study like a mofo lover and then still like just pass in all sciences, physics, biology, and chemistry. I didn't, and plus other friends would always be acing the test. So that was my little ding cue. I'm like, I don't think I'm cut out for math and sciences. So then I jumped over to acting and performing. I thought, okay, this was my grand plan. Become famous so you can give everything. That was the grand plan, especially once I had my awakenings. I was like, okay, so we're all one. And like everybody needs to realize we just have to give to each other instead of like trying to take from each other. So I lived my life like that, and for many years just would always give. And still working out those patterns of perpetual giving to not being able to receive. Anywho, so you have these awakenings, and then in comes social media in the 2000s or whatever, and like spiritual awakening more and more spiritual practice, and like navigating this so-called 3D reality, where it doesn't matter if we call it 3D, 4D, 5D, blah, blah, blah. We're here on Earth, and we're here now. And and now, what's the experience that we're feeling? And I say and do these shares for myself as much as for anybody else, because it's like, often I don't know what else to do. I'm being guided from a heart space where there's apparently not as many people doing that on Earth, including Many people talking about dimensions, which I do it too. We're talking about dimensions. Except it's not out there. See, this is like a big part of it. The download yesterday was that I'm like, oh, we are the multidimensionality of experience itself. Because the way our human mind works is that we externalize everything. We perceive it as outside of self. So when people talk about like the fifth dimension, we see it as this like higher, more elevated state, which in essence, again, it doesn't matter if you call it 5D. In my here now, the way I interpret language sometimes is that what people mean by fifth dimensional is that they're pretty much merged with their infinite self. They're connected to their feelings. They're present with their thoughts. They're feeling and biofeedbacking off of their reality continuously. And then healing and dealing with this shit as and when it arises and or comes into your field. And you know, I often, these shares, they come from a place of, I use that word, noodling, just having a curiosity about life, having a curiosity about like this experience rather than trying to always have to define it. Maybe that's it. I feel that sometimes as soon as we define it, we box it in. And perhaps in me, it's the craving. It's a deeper craving for connectivity, for honesty, for truth, you know? And this is after allowing oneself to integrate the layers of abuse among us in the collective, as far as lies. And I feel the depth of pain sometimes in the human collective is so profound that there's nothing we can do but be here now, basically. I'm gonna just share straight up, you guys, like I'm quite emotional today, and I'm not, I almost went unlisted because I'm not particularly engaged right now. I'm working through a really uncomfortable pattern around like being used by and lied to by people to get stuff. And like it's been a bit of a repeat, and like it's quite shocking. And I'm aware that this is part of the collective programming, that we're all programmed to just give our power away, you know? And then that's maybe an awareness of, here's the thing though, like it's different when the desire is to share more. You know, when your earnest desire is just to share more, then there is a sense of benevolence in exchange, you know? It's just these weird veils of collective agreements, as in like boys and girls, or just maybe our perceptions around love and romance, and then but the shadow side of it, you know, and the like the boys think girls are like that, and girls think boys are like this, and so we act it out. We create the illusion of, yeah, and it's so Ixville inside, like, and then like this stuff for me, the depth of the healing, like the way it brings stuff up, it just like, the human heart, and like the depth of enslavement and reclaiming our soul after we sold it away, kind of thing. And then the depth of the sacredness inside is, and like the inner child vibrashe is like so precious and so beautiful, that like as you're repeating patterns again, seeing like how vulnerable the child is, you're just like, oh my God. And we just use each other and abuse each other and lie to each other, just, I don't know, for some quick, instantaneous pleasure. I don't know, the ego gets a big massage or something, and it's really like, ugh. So yeah, I'm soft and I'm vulnerable today, and I'm working stuff out and letting go, and I know it's wonderful, you know, it's great. And I just, in this space, plus I'm really intrigued by the work that I do, and as far as manifestation, and how this channel, like, and I'm saying this with so much love for myself and the Ulta Love community, but this channel must be the slowest growing YouTube channel. And I'm going through another phase of just getting a lot of unsubscribes. And that's okay, because I'm like, you know, I'm leaving a situation, and I'm aware that sometimes when you make changes, people don't want to support you in the changes that you're making. I just like, I'm just not sure, and I guess I'm just here in service, and so it doesn't matter, and I know that numbers don't matter, like, I'm aware of that. And I'm really blessed and fortunate because I work online, you know, I have clients and people I work with who pay me to be online, and I'm loving it, and I'm so grateful. And I don't know how the tarot is working. Well, I do. I know exactly how the tarot works, but like, yeah, I'm getting bookings, like, a lot, and I'm so grateful, like, so grateful. I guess I'm swinging between like just keep going, and like the depth of the not enoughness, the depth of the unworthiness. I was sitting with like a heart stuff yesterday, and all I could do was like trace it. All I could do was like trace it down, because you like, yeah. And it, like, straight up in this moment, I'm like bored of myself and tired of myself. I'm bored of having these emotions. I'm bored of these discussions. Can you tell? Like, who fucking cares about dimensions? Like, are we here? Are we in honesty? Are we in our integrity? Are we vibrating our heart space? Or are we just going around trying to fucking prove ourselves to one another, you know? And maybe, and I speak of myself, I'm just chasing some illusory dream that my ego bought into once. And I guess maybe that's what I'm getting right now, is this is the depth of the suicidal thoughts in our collective. This is the depth of our pain body. How many humans, when they're not totally fucking distracted by the busyness of life, are actually contented and like being. We're so busy chasing a dream that we just deny one another, you know? And I'm lost in that sense. Like, I don't know what more to do ultimately, because I'm just going to go off and delete this. And then, sorry guys. You know, like, feedback judgment of people in the world. I do intend to do these shares with a point, I guess, but then I think, what is the point? What's the point of any of this? Because the world seems to have us believing that the point is to keep growing. The point is to just keep growing and keep getting bigger and keep chasing more. But the chasing more is ultimately, I feel, what's destroying us here and destroying this planet and destroying our ability to just be in love and be joyful for one another, you know? Thanks, guys. I have, like, and there is, like, it doesn't matter, ultimately, in the truth of it. You guys are, I'm, like, again, even just my, like, the little, like, small town Canadian girl, just the fact that I've, like, reached out on this YouTube platform and been able, like, it's like sending out a call, you know, just the fact that you can send out a call, and, like, in fairness, it's taken quite a few years. I guess I'm just, like, triggered by, and this is just my own ego, okay, so straight up, hi Gigi, so straight up, like, oh, I've just lost it. Yeah, so the small town Canadian girl putting a broadcast on YouTube. Oh yeah, my human ego gets totally triggered by channels that I come across. They're like, hey guys, so I started my YouTube channel 2 months ago and they have like 50,000 subscribers. I'm like, I'm like, they're doing tarot or they're doing makeup tutorials or just random chit chat vlogging, and they're getting an, like, increase and increase, and then that just reflects back to me more deep wounding of how much of a big fat failure I am, you know? Yeah, it is, for sure. You know, like, we talk about feelings. I guess I just have a lot of, it is choice. I saw that, you are choice. I know. I guess I'm just choosing sadness, choosing pain, choosing, I'm hearing divinity, you know, choosing divinity. Choosing truth, choosing love, rather than the other. There's something really profound and beautiful about putting this call out and finding you know, this title share as well, dimensions, I seem to be off my flow a little bit around, like, useful things to share. I think that's part of, like, the mental scape of everything. I'm so fucking tired of just, like, is it this? Could it be this? Is it, are we doing this, or is it this? I'm like, I don't know. Is it helping you feel better? I don't know. Does that serve anything or anyone? Is there, you know, does our fucking scientific model even have any fucking basis for functional reality? You know, I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, again, I have so much love and appreciation here. I also just, my whole life, I've had love and appreciation for all of humanity. And like, basically just wrote a book to try to be like, hey guys, feel your feelings and be nice to one another and care for yourself and care for each other. And then what comes out but like more deep fucking like the ways that I'm not caring for myself come up, the ways that I'm not being in my integrity or in my truth. And yet what I'm hitting up against is like my naivety in buying into people's lies. And it's so I don't understand. I'm just ready to continue to live this life that I'm living, and I guess it's a whole mix, you know? I'm embarrassed and I'm humiliated and lonely. That's a pretty like long-standing thing and like and historical. Something I'd hear my mom say a lot. Here's the thing though, right? Is that I think people are lonely. You know, I think that even people who busy themselves and surround themselves with lots of stuff, I think, because here's the thing, like I can express all this stuff, but like in my heart, I'm not in this space all the time. That's why I find these YouTube shares kind of weird and curious in my life flow. And the way it's evolved and the way my life is shape-shifted just by like just by peeling back the layers and just saying, this is me, now this is me, now this is me, you know, and sharing from my heart and not trying to be important and not using NLP technique to fucking manipulate people or not giving some fucking illusion of grandiosity for people to chase so they buy into my products and massage my ego even more, you know? I feel a bit lost today. I feel like, what's the point of any of it? Because, like, here's the legit beautiful truth. Like, most of us, when we get to, like, inner child vibrashe, I'm like, I don't genuinely believe most humans want much more than, like, again, barefoot, frolicking on the grass, good food, community, loving community, like genuinely loving community. Like the Hobbit says in the Shire. You know, and then, you know, you could look at Lord of the Rings and think about it this way. Earth, the Lord of the Rings, the story of Earth or Middle Earth or whatever have you, right? And you think about like the elves, dimension, and then who I don't know, and then you have what's Aragorn or whatever his name is. He's a dimension. The dwarves, they're in their own dimension. The trees, they're in their own dimension. I just started to think of like, you know, multi-dimensionality. I was in the 9th dimension of my meditation, and I'm like, how does that fucking relate to the majority of humans? Bafflegaff. Science. Academia. Law. Economy. Politic. It's all just one big bafflegaff to confuse people and keep everybody running around in circles. But I'm just an emotional woman, so nobody really gives a shit or listens for that matter. In fact, that would be part of what I need to own, claim, and dissolve and transform, is that I just feel like sometimes people see what they want and they go for it, and then they literally, it's like entrapping a butterfly. they'll put different smoke mirrors and different things all around just to try to fucking entrap the butterfly. And I'm just so tired of being that stupid little butterfly who keeps flying into stuff that just wants to like poke at it and like tuck its wings, or just put it in a fucking cage and say, no, you're free, butterfly, look, it's free. And the butterfly's like, I'm pretty sure you've put me in a fucking cage, actually. So breaking free. There's the paradox of like, we create our own realities. Because then nobody's responsible for me. And I'm not responsible for anybody else. Freedom. See, that clears stuff up. You're all right, MJ. Like, just keep going. Don't give a ras about what people think. And certainly do not, at this point, give people the benefit. It's sad, though, right? I'm like, so, yeah, and then maybe I'm just like, well, in fairness, like the hardy stuff that I've been processing, I'm like, in fairness, yeah, that makes sense. Like all this verbal diarrhea that's spewing out of my mouth right now is actually a lot of the shit that I've been integrating in my heart space around like, yeah, love, romance, all that shit. But it's like, because then it gets to this point of like, let it go. Just let it go. I don't even know if it's real anymore. Is that sad? But maybe it's also come off the back of like actually letting go. Like letting people know that I'm not coming back. I'm not going back to my old reality, you guys. And then it's like, I don't even know what's out there. But it's okay. Like, I know I had an experience crossing one of the borders, you guys, which was pretty fucking scary. But I also knew in the moment that because of how intense it was, like, talk about fucking divine protection, for real. And having one of you guys just remind me literally like 20 minutes after I filled up my tires to fill up my tires. You know, I've got fucking angels all around me. Not that I believe in that, because we're all one, but I do. Angels are just aspects of self, you know, that want to love us and protect us and guide us in the most beautiful direction. Energies that we are part of, that the 3D reality. See, now I'm not going to be able to call it the 3D reality. They're like, MJ, you said you don't believe in dimensions. I'm like, because I would say that it was around the time of really getting into Bentinho, and I was watching a lot of the different channels of channeling Galactic Federation of Light and all that kind of stuff. And I remember when Bentinho, and this is from the Law of One, the raw material, so, you know, we can understand in a scientific way what's happening to the cells of our beingness as far as density levels and light quotient. So there is scientific backbone to what's happening. Oh, and then OMG, this is like another OMG, let's talk about 5G, MoFlow lovers. Okay, so the 5G stuff is coming up real hard, and I'm seeing the polarity of the fear mongering around it, and or the complete ignorance to it. And then our spiritual communities and where we're sitting in between. And this might be tough to hear and stuff, but I'm like, wow. Collective agreements and the human and how we perpetuate these ideas. And I'm aware of, like, when we're talking about stuff, we create them. And in a lot of channels, we talk about ascension symptoms. And it was really weird because I saw somebody, or a post, I tend to not see these posts, but I did, and now I'm talking about it. So maybe it's relevant to a few of you. But, you know, if any of you have seen any of the you know, hardcore info about the 5G warfare shit. It's intense. It's fucking intense, right? Like big stuff in the collective. And then, so I see this post, bearing in mind often what we're talking about, like nausea and headaches and yada yada. And then I see a post about 5G and how the effects of 5G and what's happening to us. I'm like, does it matter if it's 5G or our own consciousness creating it, or are we just creating it? Because our bodies are going through a transformation right now. Whether it's 5G or ourselves or the higher dimensions, here now, it would appear that we're all going through something fucking monumental that half or a large portion of humanity is completely unaware of, and then a few people are aware of. But this is where life starts to take on quite a murky edge, because in these so-called higher dimensions, we're more powerful, which means we're more powerful in the polarity of our light and our dark. Which means deceptions and lies and like all of that also starts to get deeper and darker and more twisted and bleh. Like, again, I talk about this a little bit, having met the Sasha Stone from New Earth Project, and like the satanic I laugh because I literally, it's so dark you don't even know where else to go with that, but the satanic ritual abuse. And then randomly I saw a post from somebody asking, like, wait a minute, somebody, so I'm not one like to name call, but this is just the legit truth of Sasha's, what he told me. And I would consider him somewhat to have intel about because he's on the International Tribunal for Justice. He's an advocate for sniffing out the people that are running the sex trafficking rings and the pedophile rings and the satanic ritual abuse rings, which is essentially keeping this covert leadership in place, right? And perpetuating divide and conquer. It's just perpetuating the human pain body wound, right? Because the controllers feed off of it. Again, we're all part of this energy system. Hence why we have access to this information. Anywho, I would never, because I grew up like in the world. I remember at 10 years old, I wrote Oprah Winfrey a letter. I was 10. And like, it was a time when like life was tough. And I wrote to her asking for help. Because my mom was severely depressed, and I was just like this 10-year-old kid, and I would watch this show, and this Oprah lady would appear to like do nice things for people who needed help. So I haven't never spoken about this memory, and weirdly, like, it's just coming back now, and I'm like getting a anyway. So like my 10-year-old self writes her a letter. I never heard back, of course, and I whatever. But Sasha mentions this woman, you know, and I know firsthand how many people idolize her and worship her and blah blah, and basically, you know, Sasha's awareness is that a lot of people in the celebrity world that we love are absolutely in the dark. They're in the rituals, they're in the blah blah, and I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. You know, I don't buy into all the idol worship, the culture of that anyway. I'm not particularly fussed. Then yesterday, out of nowhere, I just see a post about Oprah Winfrey on Instagram. And I could probably verbatim find it again, but it was along the lines of like, we're all asking this lady Oprah Winfrey for advice on, you know, creating abundance, and she's a millionaire, or like, that wasn't the good one, but it was more to do with like, we ask her parenting advice, but she's not a parent. And we ask her anyway, gosh darn it. Anyway, it was really relevant. I'm like, God, it's so true. Like, why do we all worship these people who've made a huge success of their lives when they're not necessarily living, as in, why ask Oprah for parenting advice? She's not a fucking parent. Oh, that was it. Why ask her about marital advice? She's never been married. Why ask her about blah, 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 blah? She's, you know, and I was like, holy hell, like, that's very true. Why do we worship? And, well, because they're putting veils over you to make them worship you or some shit. Oh, Gigi, you guys, I know that you've been commenting though. I know, the deleting. Ugh, thanks for the reminder, Scott. I'm like, oh yeah. MJ, remember your transformational power. It's time to delete! Delete! Delete this abuse! Or just delete this, like, pattern of victimhood. Being used by people. Oh. It's so icks. But then I'm like, yeah, well, there you go. That's the collective pain body. I'm like, and here's the thing, like, also, like, I'm just reminded of the pain body as well. Like, I show up at this, like, little, sort of like a bit of a construction site, but there is a pool. And just, yeah, just kind of like a worker's little stopgap on the motorway in southern Portugal. And so they're all really, like, lovely. And it's one of those things that I've noticed over the years of, in my personal day-to-day reality, like, I love this, and I'm maybe massaging my ego, but aw, I'm so sad to say this, but, like, I don't know why I'm sad, but I have this really amazing ability to make anybody smile, you know? And the man who served me, I could smell booze on his breath, and I could just feel his pain. And these are the things for the empath. I'm just aware of pain. And that the fact that and then nobody mentions it to him probably, or let's not talk about that, you know, as long as he can show up for work and get the job done, who fucking cares about how his state, because then I knew he was so kind, and then he was going, and he's like, don't worry, so-and-so will help you out, I'm finished now, and then I just had this flash of him going home, and, like, being sad, you know, or, like, maybe getting angry at his wife or family, or, like, just it's not about perfection, you know, it's not about, I've just felt resonance with people who the world shunned, you know? And in my little, like, inner child heart, all I can do is just keep going. And I'm so tired of all this fucking, you manifested that, you created that, and I'm talking about myself, okay? Oh, why did you manifest that in your reality? Shut the fuck up. Like, oh my god. Although, like, literally as we speak, I'm doing the work. I'm seeing some icky feeling patterns inside my beingness of being used and manipulated, and I'm seeing it yet again and just, like, a different layer, and I'm like, it literally feels like some dark snake leaving my body, and then I take a breath, and, like, that was it yesterday, this, like, black hole in my heart, and I just was like, what am I supposed to do with this? And so I just sat, and I heard in my voice, trace it down. So I traced it down. So I anchored it into my beingness, you know? I anchored in, or rather, it was like tracing it down, take a breath, you know, space it out. The black goo serpent, right? Yeah. Hi, Elliot. The eels, the black goo serpent. The black goo is pretty rife. I don't know. Somehow, like, the black goo is connected to, like, I don't think I've shared this stuff with you guys, but I had this one night in Bali with Sasha, and told me about an international research exhibition that he, like, did, And this is where we're getting into the aspect of spiritual warfare and matter and or creative aspects, just creative aspects, right? And the black goo, it's to me really connected to the motherboard. So the motherboard is like, the motherboard is like this sort of like matriarchal spider. And the way I see her is like she exists in the ethereal. But that spider has been embedded and it's, again, it's to do with Earth and the way Earth moves through this binary solar system. It's a generation station. It moves in an infinity cycle, and all souls from all across all infinity and beyond appear here to learn and grow and like expand and it's only when I like literally it was like everything that night for me shifted the plates in my field, in my awareness, because it's like making contact with these beings. And then also knowing that in our own reality, once we face some of the darkness, we can bounce it. Like, I'm here now, in this here now presence, I can see that spider just being like off they go. Which is how and why a lot of the darkness energy is being exposed and expunged from our earthly experience. There again, though, it's all here now as we share and as we express and as we choose to embody a greater loving heart, which is inherent to the beings that are choosing to co-create here or choosing to exist here. Here again, though, it's like, it's really lovely having conversations and chit chat and dialogue from the heart. I'm also aware of not getting attached to any of it, you know, just like I wouldn't want to get attached to words and definitions about, well, this is the reality. This is exactly how the reality is. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know exactly what the reality or life is. I'm not sure, and I don't fucking care ultimately. I'm just like, it's joy. Like, it's just the sense of like what I said earlier that made me all emotional, although I'm like, hi, I've been emotional the whole morning, right? But it was like the kindness, you know, like my little trickery of like, even I've met people along the way where I'd make it like a bit of an intermish, you know, especially the years that I worked at the retreat, there would be people that had like hardcore resistance, and I'd be like, I'm gonna bring them into my world. And I would. And it was amazing to me because what I observed was other people, how quickly they would judge and define and label and snap somebody who was going through a hard time, you know? And I always felt it such a privilege to bring people out, just to make them know that they're loved. And you know, it works. It works. When you genuinely love people, it just works. Everything else is just shit. Yeah. So I'm feeling like sharing with you guys the juicy gossip of what happened to me a couple days ago. And also I'm going to share with you guys big vulnerability piece, which you guys are privileged because I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this live. I might do. I'm getting better at just not giving a loss and keeping these things live, because who cares? Nobody sees my channel anyway, right? That's untrue. That's not true. That's so not true. And also, I would never ever want to like this. You guys are my world ultimately, for real. And there's some key figures in my 3D reality as well. But pretty intimate, you know? So some of you guys know and I'm quite an advocate for plant medicine. And I was really a little bit, not really, but like drugs, alcohol, all that kind of more destructive self-abuse patterns. It was pretty thick for me. Around my 30th birthday, I decided to, I just stopped drinking, thank God. I'm like literally grateful every day for the fact that I have no desire to drink alcohol. And I've been able to step into my purpose. I've been able to empower myself. I've been able to heal my body, my food patterns, my, you know, the list goes on. And I'm such a happier person for this ongoing transformation, for this ongoing commitment to the heart and love and abundance and freedom and all this juicy good shit, right? And I, though, behind the scenes have been pretty deep in with smoking pot, like a lot, like a lot more than anyone would deem acceptable. So abusing it. Mainly because marijuana has been a better friend to me than most people in my life. But not no more. I have real, genuine people whom I love and I know who love me. So anyway, and here's like the legit truth. For years, you guys, years. I'm not like 20 years. And I've had my yogic time. I've had teetotal time. I've had detox and fasting. And I've done a lot of all of that. But in the last probably 5 years, I could feel it coming, and it was almost like, it was like this like dance of like resistance of like, be good, be the good yoga teacher, and like be teetotal because that's the right way to be, and like, you know, all these so-called spiritual teachers being like using their sobriety as a superiority conquest, you know, and that's not necessarily true. That's just clearly like maybe my own resistance or whatever. But like, anyway, yeah, like I've been abusing pot like hardcore for most of my life. And then the last 5 years, it was like I totally surrendered to the addiction. I just was like, oh. It's like, I don't care, you know, life, it's like not wanting to be here so much that you're like, well, fuck it. And it also is a sign, like when you're abusing like that, especially if you're in a relationship, that's a pretty good sign that you're in an abusive relationship as well. You know, like any of us could say that, you know, addicts attract addicts kind of thing. And I'm attracting people healing from that stuff as well. And choosing to heal consciously, and holy hell, do we ever need each other to endeavor this healing? Okay, so hardcore, like in the shame cycle, in the mask, playing the squeaky clean, whatever people fucking perceive, right? And this is the thing, I wouldn't lie. I would use language that was in alignment with my integrity, but I never lied to people about who I am, about my path. I just chose to not say certain information, you know, or tell my clients paying me £100 an hour I just had a fucking Zuby, you know, like that wouldn't be cool. Anyway, so there you go. That's my like dirty, shameful secret. I have been abusing marijuana for most of my life. No, more than half. Like, I'm 37 and I've been smoking pot for 20 years. And tobacco. And I'm all noodling it out. I started smoking when my first boyfriend. It's all connected to like some daddy issues, as I'm uncovering. And I have yet to get to the drama, you guys. I have yet. Oh, hey, 1 hot minute. See, you guys are amazing. You guys make me feel okay about who I am. Which in this moment I'm just like pretty vulnerable about stuff, because yeah, it's just the stuff that I've attracted that's triggered all this like feeling used and abused and lied to by people, you know? And it's still happening, and I'm like, I'm supra conscious, except you're attracting douchebags who lie and cheat, so that's not true. Okay, so yeah, I'm like, oh, stoner since 14. And then how funny is this that I'm like, guys, should we get stoned together? Except I actually look forward to that, even though I'm like exposing the wound. But here's the thing about where I'm at, and I love the fact that I can fucking laugh about it all, but there's healthy and there's not healthy. And I've known for years that I was taking this to the edge of the abuse cycle, right? I've surrendered to my own compulsion. I surrendered to my own death cycle, you could say, of just getting stoned whenever the fuck I wanted to, which was most all day, every day. Until, and this is the thing when intention and manifestation, and I travel. There's places where technically you shouldn't be able to get marijuana, but not MJ. MJ would be able to find it, or literally pull it in. People would just come up and be like, hey, you want some? I'm like, hey, sure, fancy that. I'm like, it would just, or I'd be like, you know, a little bit of a badass chica roaming around the streets of Paris or Mexico City, finding marijuana. I've only been scammed once, and that was like within 2 days of arriving in London, England, when I was 20 years old with my backpack, and some dude took my money and actually he came back and put something in my hand. I'm like, why did he come back? I'm literally having this thought now. I'm like, he could have just left with my money. But no, he came back and put a piece of paper in my hand. I was like, thank you. And then there was nothing in it. So I'm like, I know, only once, right, JK? Yeah. And that's the thing of like the divinely guided. I'm like, it's all been like divinely guided. Weird. Yeah, so I've been really, really lucky and sort of on flow, and like I have this very interesting relationship with marijuana where I'm like, it like literally has been my best friend for so long, and I guess as I've gone into the depth of the darkness, but then also been stepping into my power, I've been seeing the hooks and the way it like holds me down, that I'm like bound to this pattern because I hate myself so much, kind of thing. And yet the swing of the polarity is MJ's making money online, making money when she sleeps, pioneering this cool online business, feeling better than ever. Because I do. I'm happier than ever, feel better than ever. I just like, there's like this shadow aspect of self being like, I also don't give a ass, and I just get fucking stoned all day because there's a little bit of fuck you to the world coming out of me. And you realize that the people who were supposed to love you, they hate you, and they have always hated you. And it's their own darkness, it's their own fucking shit, but when you're a little kid, you don't know the difference. You just know that the person that's meant to love you, that's not what you're picking up on, so you fucking close and hide. And yeah. Deny the truth of who the people are in your life. Okay, so, and I want to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry if any of you ever felt like I lied to you. I'm sorry if this is like, I know I talk about it in jest, but like, this is the truth in the here now. a really profound abuse cycle with marijuana. And okay, so here's, let's get to the juicy drama of it all. Of like, there's an aspect of intuitive shit and also total divine protection. A couple of you guys already know this story, but 2 days ago, so, okay, so I got quantity before leaving Devon, big quantity of pot, because I was hoping for it to see me through this whole journey, and like I would just doing my thing. But here's another polarity though. Throughout, especially as I've gone deeper and deeper into this compulsion to just like smoke as much and whenever I want, often, 5 out of 7 nights a week kind of thing, I'd be going to bed praying, just praying, please, like, somehow let this release, let this desire. It's not like any addict or any person. It's like, and I talk about this sometimes with you guys around my, the people I work with food compulsion and body image issues. It's so easy to just be like, well, just stop eating. Oh, just stop smoking. I'm like, never tried that before. Or telling an alcoholic, just stop drinking. Hence why any of us on this journey are in resonant connection here, because we're like, yeah. And we're getting better as a collective. Our study of psychology, our study of all this stuff, right? Yeah, it owns you. Hence, not freedom. It's a hook. It's a binding contract to your hatred, basically, to your self-hatred, to your self-loathing, to the or the perception of being hated. So we veil, we smoke screen ourselves, we mask ourselves, like me being too much sparkle, or me being too bright or too fucking happy, or whatever I did that triggered, you know, a father figure in my life or a parental figure. And then biofeedback to me that I'm too much, that you need to calm down, that you need to shut the fuck up and just be a little bit less bright. So then as a child, you embody that as that. How do I fit in? I can't be the true self. I have to just be a little bit numb. I have to be a little bit like... Now, part of... there's a few more things. One is that I just am in a place where I don't want to deny marijuana and good times. I would love to have good times, but we all know there's a healthy way to do that. Being isolated, getting stoned all day is not healthy, versus going out with good friends and having a bake sesh and just giggling on the floor for hours. I'm like, yeah! However, I'm like, yeah, I have to let go of my isolation. I have to let go of these deeper wounds of the pain and the hatred and like this shit that's coming up around men and trusting men. And yeah, so let's get back to the story, shall we? MJ's got quantity on her person in her car, and I had some good times at the festival. And here's the thing, when you're getting to the end of a cycle, like, it's not even like I'm enjoying getting stoned. That's also how it's like, oh. So I pray every day, please, God, give me release, please, show me how it's gonna be. Literally, I thought I'd run into some serious health issue, or yeah, some crazy shit would go down to help me just fucking drop it, MJ. Like, cut it out. It's not like I want to be stoned either. This is the weird paradox. It's a hook. It's a habit. I'm just like, it's not like, yeah, anyway. So, and like for years and years, as I just let myself give in to this desire, I'm like allowing and I'm accepting and I'm non-judgy, and I'm just like, I'm just going to accept this like I would accept anyone else. This is my practice, non-judgmentals, you know? I'm like, I love people. I sit down and talk to homeless people. I'm not frightened, right? So I'm like, okay, be with your homies. Let's just fucking do this, right? So, but then in my little inner child mode, it's like, please, God, please, one day, let me not want to smoke marijuana all day fucking long. Let me actually enjoy being alive. So that's me, right? Living this professional life, getting stoned in the shadows, and then at nighttime praying every day for release for years now, right? So 2 days ago, my friends, I was approaching the Spanish border, and I got stopped. And they asked me to pull over. There's about 4 or 5 of these like yellow vested suited people. I know, you guys already know. So I got pulled over and they asked me to get out of my car. And I'm clearly fucking shitting a brick right now. I'm just like, God, this is it. And like, also, I was like, this is it, MJ. Oh, and then here's another intuition. So that was like the big drive. I did like a 12-hour day or more. Or way more, like 15 or 16-hour day from the moment I woke up and like drove from Dover to the ferry, taking the ferry, and then driving all the way just past Bordeaux. Getting stoned the whole time, by the way. And so really, really long ass day. And that day, I kept hearing like, I have to get rid of it. I have to get rid of it. I have to get rid of it. Do I get rid of it though? No, because MJ wants to smoke pot. So she's like, fuck it. Like, I just keep it. Even though literally all day that day, intuition is like, get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it. No. You're gonna have to pull some fucking stops if you want me to get rid of this. This has been my best friend for 20 years. Fuck you, basically, intuition. I want to smoke pot. I want to be stoned. I want to be a little bit dead to the world and be isolated from getting hurt and having my heart ripped and wrenched apart from these humans, you know? So, yeah, they stopped me and they asked me to get out the car and they said, do you have any drugs in the car? And I said, no, I was at a festival, smoked a couple of doobies, and then they looked over to the dude who opened the back of his car and let the dogs out. And then I turned to the guy and I was like, no, I do have drugs in my car. And he was like, where is it? Go get it. Oh God. Like literally my whole body was like quivering. And I was just having to do deep breathing techniques to not just start bawling and or vomit all over the douane people, the immigration people, whatever, border control, whoever they are. Police? Are they the police? I don't know. They didn't feel like just your average police. They felt, and in fairness, guys, here's the thing. They were really lovely. They were all really lovely. So yeah, MJ's in a situation where her car is surrounded by yellow vests and red signs, and there's dogs in her car, and the police are cutting seats open, cutting the floor out of it, like just little snips to cut underneath. Internacional Policia, something like that, right? So they're like, get your drugs. So I gave them my bag of pot, which was probably about like 3-4 grams maybe. Nice as well. By the way, side note, really lovely. I was thoroughly enjoying that little bundle of green that I had. Anywho. So yeah, I also had like a little spliff in my eyes, but they did fine. And something I completely forgot about, I actually had a cannabis sucker, which I got in Camden Town. Anyway, completely forgot about it. They found all of it, though. And I'm literally like just, again, trying not to vom. Yeah, dude, for real. She got her little fucking X-Acto knife out and started cutting under the seats. They were, well, here's the thing that I'm aware of. They were looking for more. They're looking for weapons and hard drugs. And here I'm like, as soon as I get out, I'm like, I have the safety gear. I have the shit you're supposed to have. They're like, do you have drugs in the car? I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, fuck. So yeah, I had to give them my drugs. And here's the thing, this whole time, one, deep down, even though it would appear that I'm like freaking out and really nervous, deep down, I'm like outside of myself, watching myself, being like, you're gonna be fine. You're protected right now. And then also, it was like, I knew in that moment, it was like, this is it, MJ. This is your release. This is you. This is the situation you've created for yourself to give you a big smack across the face and kick up the arse to drop this habit, to drop the compulsion whereby I can't even go to fucking Portugal for a month without having a big stash of fucking pot on my person because I'm so lonely, you know, and so sad. So, they took my marijuana. They laughed at me. They did. They were like, oh, madame, you know, it's fine. We, the French police, we're cool. We are cool, the French police. And I'm like, really? That's not what I heard, but fine, cool. And they were like, madame, it's fine. But you know, the cannabis, it's interdit en France. And I'm like, I know, je sais. And I was like, I don't know, ma vie, je fais ça. And then they're like, yeah, we're gonna take your pot. So clearly they're looking for traffickers. They're looking for drug dealers and actual dangerous people. Plus, in fairness, like I told him who I was, what I did, and it all checks out. You know, I've got all my yoga mats in the car. I've got my camping. I've been into festivals. Obvious. There's no booze. There's no hard drugs. It's just some pot. And then once they tore my car apart, they realized she's exactly what she says she is, and she's not a threat to fucking society. But they were like, madame, we take your pot and we throw away, and you go. And I was just like, oh my God, legs shaking, quivering. And then once I got in my car and pulled away, I just fucking started laughing, and I was just like, oh my God, what the fuck just happened? I only told a couple besties. I wasn't planning on exposing this, but at this point, I'm like, it's kind of a cool story, so why the fuck not? Oh, and also, it's, it's like, I guess it's par for the course, you guys, like, divinely guided, like, when you're totally intuitively guided, which I really have been since I was 19, like, some shit that I've manifested or created in my life, it's that miraculousness which has gotten me through some intensity. You know, it's leaning into miracles, it's leaning into trust, it's leaning into faith when there's homelessness and no money and no people and, like, you know. And my yoga career is super miraculous, you know, the way I've managed to navigate that. And this situation, having you guys show up, help me get the new car, and then MJ's intuition telling her, let it go, me being like, and then the fucking, the International Polizia, they take my pot from me. And then, well, who was there? 1 Minute Man. So here's where I'm at with the pot smoking, is that there's tobacco in my world as well. So I'm like, there's another layer. So I'm endeavoring to support myself through letting go of, like, tobacco smoking the way that I smoke it. And in time, what I reckon, you guys, and here's the thing, is like, when I know I'm like true vibrashe of alignment service flow, I'm like, this is also what's like sad about it, is I swear you get to a point where you just don't desire or want any of it because your natural alignment is legit awesome. And so even like, because even now, it's been 2 days, you guys, and even now I can feel into this where I'm like, oh, I don't even necessarily like enjoy being stoned as much as I enjoy being sober, you know? So it's like, it's just bizarre, but so I'm like, it's like dying to a part of yourself. It's like dying to that teenage girl that found this miracle medicine that saved her life, you know? It's like, so yeah. But yeah, trust and flow and oh yeah, and then that's what one hot minute, or the Minute Man, you're like, don't stop smoking ganj, and I'm like, well, I think there's really cool funky ways of ingesting where you don't have to smoke it maybe, and also like I need to get clean basically, like I need to just not have it flowing through me for probably a good few months. But my intention, or maybe I'll wait until next summer, but my intention for my like envisioning a healthier way to be with stuff and compulsion is for my future self. I don't want to do it alone anymore. That just triggered a whole bunch of shit. Oh my god. Oh, literally like the day before my period, by the way. Eating it is good. It's my preference. Yeah, I had some brownies the other day, but again, this is where I'm like, when you're in it as deep as I am, like it all just merges into this like stoner veil, you know? I'm just see all this emotion, like this has all just been inside me. And nothing is revolutionary or anything. Just don't let an experience the control. Oh, I know. I hear you, the Minuteman. You need to like enjoy the whole throw where it's like, no. I intentionally created. I don't feel fear. If anything, I'm like holding space for all the police people who, you know, like I in my heart, I knew that like this was something I did to myself to just grow up a bit. You know, I'm not the same 16-year-old girl that started smoking. And I want to have more of a life than just, hi Julie. I want to have more of a life, you know? No one is squeaky clean either, and I get that. And I have a rebel in me, you know? I have a rebel in me that that's the rebel in me that wrote my book. It's like encouraging all of us to stand down first our own demons so that we can stand down as many demons as we need to clean this world. You know? I also have this little rebel in me that like it's sneaky. Like I guess with this curious awareness, I've always been aware of how people perceive me to a certain degree, certainly in high school, and I quite I loved the fact that I'd like be stoned and people wouldn't know. And or people would make assumptions about my person, and then I'd have this little sneaky trick up my sleeve. I'm like, I'm high on pot right now. Oh God. The things the wounded child does. Honestly. You guys, and here's the thing. I'm safe in this community, and I know you guys have your we all have our shit basically, you know? And here's the thing, even the people that are squeaky clean, I know that they have shit too. Cuz I have a lot of so-called we're all fucking squeaky clean. We're all innocent children. This is the thing. You know? Even the people acting out in brutal violence and dropping palms, like they're still innocent children. That's, i.e., part of Sasha Stone's work, and like doing all this weird, you know, sniffing out satanic ritual abuse and pedophile rings and sex trafficking. It's like, and child trafficking. I'm like, all of that is connected to the human pain body field because everybody's fucking traumatized. And I'm like, we need to find enough love and forgiveness and compassion inside our own heart to literally fucking wipe the slate clean, which means we have to fucking heal all of our past grievances, all of our wounds and all of that. Maybe it's finding me, exactly. God, you guys. Like, I'm so grateful, but then there's inside, I'm like, but MJ, don't forget, you did it too. Like, you're doing it too, you know? And I just love how you guys support each other as well. Amen! Amen! A naughty, I know. Who doesn't like a little naughty sometimes, right? You go, Rebel. Yeah. damn, Skippy, I know, we all do it to ourselves regardless of humor. I know. It would appear that all of these big, bad, scary police people pulled me over, and I'm like, as soon as I'm getting pulled over, I'm like, this is it now. Don't get scared, MJ. I'm like, oh, fuck. Basically, just this little childhood inner child part of me being like, oh, god damn, like, I'm gonna have to process all this shit now, right? I'm gonna have to figure out where this all comes from and why I am doing what I'm doing, and I'm gonna have to expose it and, like, heal. And then you guys are just right here with me, helping me heal, which, how lucky am I, by the way? And I am, and, like, what is life? Like, what is this 80-minute share of, like, hi guys, let us talk about Earth and dimensions, and be like, like, what the fuck? But then I'm like, here's the thing of, like, the expansion of the totality of being. I'm like, you are all that. So why fuss too much? Just keep riding the wave, as in, like, trying to explain and define and anchor it into some fucking definition. I don't want it. I don't want to be tied down to a definition. No different than I want to be tied down to this weird invisible fixation to being fucking stoned, you know? I'm like, holy, I feel inspired though. I feel really inspired to share this. I'm not stoned right now, and I'm never stoned in my morning shares. So weirdly, as much as I'm exposing all of my deepest, darkest secrets and shames to you guys are the only people that get the clear me. You know? And that's the thing. I'm like, my true self is where I find my homies. Like, the girl that's been in the 3D reality healing from emotional abuse and manipulation, you guys don't get to witness that girl as much or at all, you know, where I've been, or any bullshitty games I have to play or anything. I'm like, you guys get to see me on the other side of a lot of this healing. And then I think about, like, how cool it'd be when we all get to meet up, and a year from now I'm gonna be like, guys, I haven't smoked by myself in over a year, oh my god, and then we'll be like having cookies and, like, dancing on the beach and be like, whoa, yay. And then myself and any of us who have kind of released stuff will have so much to share about alternative ways and how to continue to shed, and finding just our intuitive, miraculous ways of letting go of things that hurt us, or letting go of things that are still smoke screening, or, like, denying the pain that we have inside. I didn't even realize, like, this is the beautiful thing about all of this. Like, I didn't know that I was under this veil. I didn't know that I was hiding from this other side of my childhood that I just didn't want to look at. I wonder why. Because it's painful. It hurts. But, you know, that's just par for the course. That's why I do what I do. Because I'm like, there's always clarity on the other side. There's always release. Freedom. Hey, just interesting, not good. Exactly. I like that. I love you guys and how you help me continue to noodle and also expose and refine the language. That's a very useful thing to do in this community. So yeah, I've had a few little ego deaths. So yesterday, and I didn't bother because I'm like, I don't need to do a whole share that's dedicated to it, but, like, I was gonna do a share of the slowest non-growing YouTube channel or something like that, or, like, the slowest, growing YouTube channel to ever live. I'm like, again, just broadcasting regularly since 2012, 2013. Well, I proper started my stride in 2014. That's 5 years. And then I'm coming across you, and it triggers me. It triggers my ego, clearly. Because, like, I come across these channels whom I actually love. There's a girl named Siddhartha Forest Tarot. She's just brilliant. I really res with her energy. And I signed up around 5,000, and literally 2 weeks later, she's got 40,000 plus. And I'm like, And yeah, it triggers my like, fuck you, bitch. I'm like, what are you doing? But then I see that, and I see that in me, and I'm like, okay, you know, find the love, be joyful for her. It bounces back to me. Well, there again, what it does is it turns up all this wrongness and all this unworthiness inside me, you know. I'm not worthy. People don't want to listen to me. Blah blah. And like ultimately, like I don't particularly care at this point. Like in truth, and maybe that's an issue. Is that an issue? Should I care more? Should I be really focused on more man? I don't. And I guess here's the thing. Maybe it'll shift as I get more clean from the marijuana I was smoking. But I literally don't want anything. It's such a challenge to kind of navigate this reality when you don't care for money, fame, recognition, and then you're no longer unconsciously running your parental issues, so you're not even trying to prove anything to your parents anymore. You're just like, what biatch. When did I say bitch at some point? I don't even know. Like, did I say that? I just went boom. So yeah. Oh right. You mean the channels of the tarot readers who are exploding, and I'm like, my subs are going down every day, and I'm like, wow, I'm a winner at life. You know, it does. It triggers all of my unworthiness, and also this. I had a lot of pressure as whether my own or perceived as put upon me. I had a lot of pressure to achieve, you know, and I just am so broken and tired from this world that I just want to do my yoga and live in peace and surf and hang out with people I love. It's pretty fucking simple. And I think that's maybe what's kind of radical. I think even a lot of people everywhere are still, whether they're in politics or spirituality or whatever, there's a lot of good people who are, I believe, truly genuinely of service. They're just not the people we see in the mainstream media or even on big things in social media. That's my thing. That's so much my thing, you guys, is like my life, like some of the most special and unique people I've met have been just total wanderers. I bumped into somebody and I went hungover in Liverpool, and this random stranger just came up to me. I was in the self-help section, as you do, way back, like 2008 maybe, or whatever. And yeah, I'm like super hungover in the self-help section. Out of nowhere, this person just came up to me and said, you know, it's already within you. And I was like, of course. Like that, a gift, a fucking God-given gift in that moment, you know? And then another one I met in Cambodia, and he said, you know, you are too strong, you're holding it, you're too much in your masculine energy. And this person, we were speaking in French and English, and franglais, we were speaking in this kind of broken, but I had enough French and he had enough English, and it was just so powerful, you know? It was just, and yeah, in my life, some of my best teachers have been like the nobodies, or the outcasts, or the homeless men or women, or the simple people, and by simple I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I mean the simple people. It's innocence. The misfits, exactly. The outcasts, the people who have been fucking shunned by our world. Like, I feel like everything I do is for them, you know? Because I just feel the pain of exclusion and unbelongingness. So I'm cutting in and out, and I think that's my cue to go. Julie, all of you guys, I love you so much. Somebody asked me if I died today or tomorrow, would I feel lonely? No. And I don't feel lonely, mostly with this growing community and expansion in my own life. No. And what you're witnessing is the transformation, somebody transforming some shittiness into some better. And because I said this the other day, even when I was still smoking some pot, I was like, I literally am in a place where if I died today or if I died tomorrow, I'm a happy woman. I'm blessed. I've lived a fucking beautiful life, regardless of how people would judge it, you know, or how people would belittle it. I am joyful, like genuinely joyful. I'm fucking emotional, but I'm joyful, and I have so much love to give, and that is just beautiful, you know? And I really, really appreciate you guys. I really appreciate you guys. I'm going to just do this ceremony. I'm going to hold space for this whole community. I'm going to send just mega hot love vibration all around the world. I'm going to send mega hot love vibration from me, for all of you, and I'll just continue to hold the vision of our healed state, right? I'm so thankful for you guys. Thank you for being here, and thank you for listening, and thank you for holding space. I might do some tarot as well. And by the way, I'm like, I tried to do the thing. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's quite a lot. These tarot channels, they work really hard at it, but I miss this. So I don't want the tarot